Listen closely. This message is not for the crowd. It's not for the faint-hearted, the easily swayed, or the ones who gave up when the fire got hot. No, this is for you. Yes, you, the one who's been marked since birth, the one who always felt a little different, a little out of place, as if the world tried to mold you but couldn't quite fit your edges into its frame. You are the chosen one, and this Saturday, this sacred threshold, marks the beginning of a destiny that no man, no demon, no darkness can deny you. You've felt it in your bones, haven't you? A strange stirring, like the winds of something ancient and divine moving through your spirit. You might not have known why, but you knew something was coming, something powerful, something irreversible. Because when you are chosen by the divine, the signs are subtle at first. Murmurs in your dreams, patterns in the pain, a sacred rhythm pulsing beneath the chaos. And yet somehow you still carried on, misunderstood, misjudged, overlooked, but never forgotten by the one who called you. This message isn't meant to tickle your ears or flatter your ego. It's meant to awaken you. You've been walking through deserts that tried to bleach your spirit. You've fought invisible wars in silence behind smiling masks, while your soul cried out for rescue. People thought they knew you, but they only saw the surface. They didn't see the nights you spent wrestling in prayer, the times you almost broke but didn't. They didn't see the way heaven kept you afloat when your own strength failed. And now heaven is responding. Now your name is being whispered among angels and thundered across the unseen realms. You didn't survive by accident. Every blow, every betrayal, every abandonment you faced, it was all part of a divine setup, not to destroy you, but to forge you. You are not broken. You are battle-hardened. And while others chased comfort, you carried burdens meant for warriors. The loneliness, it was a shield. The delays, a recalibration. And the confusion, a holy veil to protect what was still incubating inside you. Because the enemy never attacks anything that isn't a threat, and you, beloved, have always been a threat to darkness. Saturday marks more than the end of the week. For you, it is a cosmic alarm clock ringing in the spirit. This is not just another day, this is a spiritual threshold, a divine reset. You may not see it with your natural eyes, but in the spirit, a portal has opened. One season has ended, and another, glorious, redemptive, explosive in blessing, is beginning. The time of wandering is over. The wilderness that tested your obedience, your faith, your resilience, it is behind you. You've passed the test others ran from. You said yes when others sold their souls for convenience. And now God is saying, watch what I do next. There's a reason you've felt weary lately, not just tired, but soul-deep weary. It's because your spirit has been preparing for this moment. Transition is never quiet. It shakes you, it strips you, it unsettles the ground beneath your feet. But that is how God announces something new is coming. You see, the enemy doesn't fight fair. He attacked you in your relationships, your finances, your body, your identity. He tried to convince you you were crazy, forgotten, cursed, but he underestimated the fire inside you. Because what was meant to destroy you only awakened a holy rage, a sacred refusal to bow, and heaven saw it. Heaven recorded every tear, every prayer, every moment you chose to trust, even when it made no sense. Your obedience, though unseen by man, has built a spiritual foundation that is now unshakable. You didn't know it then, but every quiet yes was unlocking divine favor. Every no to temptation was a key turning in your heavenly assignment, and now that door is opening wide. Let them wonder how you made it. Let them whisper and guess. Because the truth is, it was never about you being the strongest. It was about you being willing to be different, willing to let go, willing to be misunderstood in order to be aligned with something eternal. That's what made you chosen. Not perfection, but surrender. And surrender is powerful. It's where destiny is birthed. It's where old identities are shed and divine mantles are received. Some of you have been feeling the stirring in your belly, the flutter of something being born. That's not your imagination, that's prophecy kicking. The shift begins this Saturday. That's not a metaphor. In the heavens, this date is etched as a turning point, a divine appointment, the beginning of a sevenfold restoration. The very things that were stolen from you, peace, joy, relationships, dreams, they're coming back. But not as they were. They're coming back multiplied, purified, made holy by fire. You won't need to chase anything. What's meant for you is magnetized by your obedience. It is drawn to the frequency of your anointing. The pain you endured adjusted your signal. It tuned you into heaven's wavelength. You're not vibrating on fear anymore. You're vibrating on faith, on destiny, on divine timing. And let me say this clearly for those who need to hear it. You are not crazy. You are not cursed. You are not behind. You are hidden. Hidden like David in the field. Hidden like Esther before the crown. Hidden like Joseph in prison. Because the greatest moves of God always begin in the dark. But that hidden season, it ends now. God is pulling the veil. He's about to show the world what he's been preparing in secret. And when they see you, triumphant, radiant, unrecognizable in glory, they'll wonder how it happened overnight. But you'll know. You'll know the nights it took, the losses, the pruning, the divine isolation. You'll know this wasn't luck. It was prophecy fulfilled. Chosen one, hear me. Your story is about to change. You're not who you were a year ago or even a week ago. You've been upgraded in the spirit, crowned in silence, and now God is about to announce you. Not for fame, but for purpose. Not for applause, but for impact. Your voice, your presence, your testimony, it carries weight now. It carries heaven's breath. So don't shrink back. Don't question whether it's really for you. It is. And you've earned it, not through striving, but through surviving. You've made it through the wilderness, and now the promise is near. Saturday is your sign. Heaven's calendar has been marked. Destiny is being activated. This is your time. You didn't make it here by chance. You didn't stumble your way through life and accidentally arrive at destiny's door. No. Every wound, every betrayal, every dark night of the soul was a battlefield, and you were the one standing in the center of it, weaponless in the eyes of man, but armed with something far greater, faith. And when faith is all you have, you begin to learn that God is more than enough. Chosen one, let's speak plainly. You have been through things that should have broken you, not just the kind of pain that leaves a scar, but the kind that buries most people. You've stared into the mouth of loss and walked through shadows that whispered you wouldn't make it. You've been attacked, not just by circumstances, but by spirits, forces, voices, some from within and some from without. The kind of warfare that is silent to others, but deafening in your own soul. And yet look at you. Still here, still breathing, still standing, maybe a little bruised, maybe limping a bit, but undefeated. You weren't just fighting for your own life. You were breaking generational chains, lifting ancient curses, defying systems that said you'd never rise. You weren't just surviving, you were conquering on levels unseen. People don't realize the magnitude of your journey. They see the surface, but what they miss is what happened in secret. The nights you screamed into pillows so no one would hear. The days you smiled while your heart bled behind your eyes. They have no idea how close you came to giving up, and they never will. Because when God marks you, He protects your story. He conceals your pain so your testimony will carry power, not pity. You've wrestled in silence. You've faced the lion and the bear when no one was watching, just like David. You've walked through fire like the 3 Hebrew boys, and somehow you didn't even smell like smoke. That wasn't luck. That was divine preservation. That was the hand of God on your life, shielding you from what was meant to destroy you. And now the very forces that tried to crush you are trembling, because they see it too. They feel the shift. They know the tide has turned. What they tried to bury is rising. The enemy didn't come after you because you were weak. He came after you because you were dangerous, because you carried a frequency of heaven that could disrupt entire bloodlines. You were born with oil, with insight, with discernment that couldn't be taught. And when people couldn't understand it, they rejected it. When systems couldn't control it, they excluded you. When the enemy couldn't break it, he tried to distract you, but nothing worked, because your spirit was anchored in something deeper than the noise around you. You were set apart, not separated, set apart. That's why you didn't fit in. That's why the doors others walked through didn't open for you. That's why the people you loved couldn't love you back the way you needed. Because your journey required isolation. Your purpose demanded pruning, and the oil you carry could not be produced in comfort. You are not just gifted, you are called, and the calling costs. But oh, how heaven repays. God has seen everything. Every insult you swallowed, every betrayal you forgave, every time you honored people who dishonored you, nothing went unnoticed. While others moved in pride, you chose humility. While others played the game, you remained loyal to truth, and that loyalty has reached heaven. There is a crown with your name on it, and it's not gold or jewels. It's glory, it's divine weight. It's the authority of one who has passed through the fire and came out refined, not reduced. You didn't lose your soul to get ahead. You didn't compromise your light to be liked. And now you are ready, not just ready to be seen, but ready to be used. Because that's what this is all about. Not fame, not comfort, not validation, but impact. Those who mocked you are about to witness the hand of God elevate you. Those who counted you out will soon wonder how you ascended so fast. But you'll know. You'll remember the process. You'll remember the pressing. Because God doesn't exalt the arrogant. He lifts the broken, the obedient, the faithful. It wasn't that you were perfect. Far from it. You made mistakes. You fell. You doubted. But you kept getting up. You kept choosing light in the face of darkness. And that's what set you apart. Your enemies felt safe because they thought time had buried your purpose. But what they didn't understand is that your delay was divine. God was staging your emergence. He was letting your roots go deep, so when the harvest comes, no storm can uproot you. And that harvest? It's already begun. You can feel it in the subtle shifts. The way certain things don't bother you anymore. The way your spirit has grown quieter, more focused. The way you've begun to release what no longer serves you and desire what feeds your soul. That's not coincidence. That's preparation. Even your body is aligning. Even your thoughts are shifting. Because when destiny draws near, the spirit begins to cleanse itself. It makes room, it purges, it clears out distractions. That's why people are leaving your life. That's why you feel the need to withdraw. You're not depressed, you're in transition. Your adversaries, both seen and unseen, are unsettled. Because the one they tried to silence is finding their voice. The one they tried to curse is walking in blessing. And the one they tried to shame is now glowing with divine favor. They thought you'd stay down. They thought you'd break. But what they forgot is that the grave couldn't hold the chosen. You're not just coming back. You're rising in glory. And as you rise, you won't need to prove anything. Your presence will speak. Your peace will speak. Your fruit will speak. Because true transformation doesn't need to be announced. It radiates. It changes the atmosphere. And those who once overlooked you won't be able to ignore what's resting on you now. This is your recompense season. The tables are turning. The justice of God is moving. The years you lost are being restored. The tears you cried are being redeemed. You are about to walk into rooms you were once denied, not because you forced your way in, but because heaven opened the door. Chosen one, this is what you were forged for. This is what the battles were all about. Not punishment, preparation. God was building your resilience, your discernment, your compassion, because what's coming next requires not just anointing, but wisdom, not just favor, but character. And you, through every valley, have been molded into someone who can carry both. Saturday is not just a day. It's your divine signal. It's heaven's trumpet. It's the evidence that what was promised is now being fulfilled. And while others may treat it as ordinary, your spirit knows this day marks the shift of a lifetime. Everything hidden is about to come to light. The scales are tipping, and the justice of heaven is no longer being delayed. God has been watching patiently, silently, recording every detail, not just the actions, but the intentions. And now comes the great reversal, the unveiling, the reckoning. For the chosen ones, this is not a season of confusion. It is a season of divine clarity. You need to hear this. God is not mocked. What was sown in darkness will be reaped in full light. The lies spoken against you, the plots hatched in secret, the silent sabotage wrapped in false smiles, it's all coming up to the surface. But not to shame you, to vindicate you, to place heaven's seal on what you knew deep down all along, that your spirit never lied, that your intuition wasn't paranoia, and that your suffering wasn't wasted. For too long, you've sat in silence while others misjudged your heart. You've let slander slide, not because you were weak, but because you chose the higher road. You kept your peace while others threw stones, and you prayed for those who would have celebrated your downfall. And that kind of response, it echoes in the courts of heaven. God does not forget such faithfulness. He does not overlook such restraint. He has watched it all, and now he is stepping in, publicly. Yes, publicly. This is the season where God will not only restore what was taken from you, but he will do it in front of those who thought your story was over. It's not just about being blessed. It's about being revealed. God is about to make a statement through your life, a loud, undeniable proclamation that says, this one is mine, this one is marked, this one is chosen. The ones who questioned your anointing are about to witness its weight. The ones who left you in your valley are about to watch you rise to the mountaintop. And the very ones who thought they had buried you will now have to testify that the grave couldn't hold what God anointed. Because your destiny isn't built on man's permission, it's built on divine appointment. And when heaven says it's time, no force in hell can delay it. You are about to see a reversal of fortunes. You'll feel it first as a subtle shift. Doors opening that were once sealed tight, phone calls that bring unexpected favor, opportunities where there once was drought. But it won't stop there. No, this goes deeper. This isn't about momentary blessings. This is about inheritance. What was always meant to be yours is being returned. What was withheld, manipulated, blocked, it's being released with interest. God is not just returning what you lost. He's reordering your entire atmosphere. The people you meet, the rooms you enter, the peace that floods your soul. It's all part of this divine turning. And it's not just about what you receive, it's about who you become. You're not the same person who walked through the fire. You're not as timid, not as unsure, not as easily shaken. That old version of you died in the wilderness. The version rising now is grounded, solid, untouchable in the spirit. You walk differently because your battles trained you. You speak differently because truth shaped you. You love differently because pain refined you. And now God says, watch how I honor the one who endured. You are being called into visibility, not for validation, but for impact. Your story is not just a testimony, it is a weapon. Every detail of your journey carries breakthrough for someone else. And God is calling you to release it, to walk boldly in the authority you've been given. No more hiding, no more questioning if it's your time, it is. But understand, this is not just about you. This is about alignment. Others are waiting on your obedience, your voice, your presence, your purpose. It's part of a greater tapestry. And if you hold back, delay, shrink, the ripple effect is interrupted. That's why the warfare was so intense. It wasn't just to distract you, it was to delay destiny's timeline. But the delay is over. The war didn't win. Victory is yours. And not because of anything you could do on your own, but because of the God who carried you through the fire and is now setting you in a place of favor. So hear this as your divine confirmation. You have heaven's approval. You do not need to ask for permission to shine. You do not need to seek validation from people who never saw you clearly. God has spoken, and when God speaks, the earth responds. Watch how creation itself begins to make room for your next season. Watch how even your enemies are forced to sit, and watch the feast being prepared in your honor. Chosen one, it's time to rise. And as you rise, I call you to action, not a physical movement, but a spiritual alignment. Begin to prepare yourself. Clear out the old habits, the old mindsets, the weights that keep you tethered to who you used to be. Begin to speak differently. Begin to expect more. Begin to pray not from fear, but from victory. You are not begging for scraps. You are stepping into inheritance. It's time to take your place, and not with arrogance, but with holy confidence. You were born for such a time as this. Every delay was training. Every heartbreak was preparation. And now your soul is finally strong enough to receive what you once would have sabotaged. Let the tears flow if they need to. Let the past crumble if it must. You are not going backward. What's behind you can't compare to what's ahead. This is your restoration arc, your comeback story, your divine unveiling. And when you walk into this next chapter, walk as one who knows they are backed by heaven, because you are. The winds have shifted, the trumpet has sounded, the path is being cleared, and heaven is thundering a single decree: touch not my anointed and do my prophet no harm. It is done. The reversal is here. The doors are opening, the heavens are speaking. Now it's your turn to move. You've probably asked yourself this question more times than you can count. Why me? Why the pain? Why the constant resistance? Why the loneliness, the rejection, the cycles of loss and silence? It's a question the chosen ones know intimately, and yet, beneath that question is a truth most aren't ready to confront. You were never under attack for what you did. You were under attack for who you are. You see, long before you were formed in your mother's womb, you were marked. There was a calling sealed to your soul like a divine blueprint, and that calling shone in the spirit realm long before you could speak your first word. Darkness saw it. The adversary recognized it. And from the moment you entered this world, a spiritual resistance was launched to try and smother what God ordained. That's why the attacks started early. That's why your childhood wasn't safe. Why your innocence was targeted. Why even when you tried to conform, you were still singled out. There's a paradox the chosen ones must come to understand. You were set apart to be attacked, but also to be protected. And yes, both can coexist. Think back. Think of all the times you were wounded in places no one could see. Times when betrayal didn't just sting, it redefined your entire idea of safety. People didn't just misunderstand you, they vilified you. They made your light seem like pride, your intuition seem like paranoia, your solitude seem like arrogance. But that was the point. The enemy used perception to isolate you, not just from others, but from yourself. Because if you ever truly knew who you were, you'd become unstoppable. So he sent counterfeit friendships, distractions dressed as desires, and temporary highs meant to detour eternal assignments. He used people's wounds to wound you. He activated their envy, their insecurity, their fear, because your presence stirred something uncomfortable in them, not because you were wrong, but because your spirit confronted their shadows. And people don't like mirrors that can't be turned off. But even still, even in the confusion and chaos, something inside you never gave up. Something deeper than reason. A knowing, a whisper, a pulse beneath the pain. That was your soul remembering its assignment. That was your divine coding refusing to be overwritten by the world. And that's why you're still here. You didn't just survive, you transcended. Because somewhere along the way, you stopped asking why they hurt you and started asking what God wanted to birth through you. You began to see that pain wasn't your identity. It was your portal, a gateway into a version of yourself the enemy hoped you'd never meet. The attacks you faced weren't random. They were precise, designed to test the exact parts of your soul that carried your gifts. Your voice, targeted. Your heart, tested. Your confidence, shaken, because those were the very weapons that, once refined, would become your ministry. You were never the problem. You were the mirror. And when mirrors walk into rooms, they expose what's broken. That's why they tried to break you, because you made people confront truths they weren't ready to face. Your light was too loud for the spiritually deaf. Your truth, too piercing for the willfully blind. But let's go deeper. Many of the people who betrayed you weren't evil. They were unhealed, spiritually misaligned. Their souls didn't know how to coexist with someone walking in divine frequency. And instead of rising to meet you, they tried to reduce you, because it's easier to tear down what you don't understand than to elevate to meet it. It wasn't personal, it was spiritual. And the paradox is this: the people who hurt you the most may have been divinely permitted, not because God wanted you broken, but because He knew what you'd become once the illusion was shattered. Pain in the hands of God becomes transformation. It scrapes off the false layers, the people-pleasing, the fear, the codependency. It forces you to seek truth in a way comfort never will. And that truth led you here, to your calling, to your authority, to the beginning of the most authentic version of your life. You've been forged by fire, just like the prophets, the kings, the spiritual architects before you, like Moses, misunderstood and isolated, like Joseph, thrown into pits by family, like Esther, hidden in plain sight until destiny called. Their pain was their preparation, just like yours. Their rejection was divine redirection. Their obscurity was protection until the appointed time. And now, it's your appointed time. Your soul knows it. That's why the old cycles feel unbearable now. That's why you can't fake it anymore. Why shallow conversations drain you. Why meaningless connections crumble. Because your spirit is demanding alignment. Your calling is too big for anything less than truth. So here you are, awake, wiser, sharper, lighter, and not because life got easier, but because you remembered who you are. You remembered that you were sent here, not just to survive, but to lead, to awaken, to illuminate, to carry the kind of healing that only comes from first-hand experience. And that is your power. Your pain gave birth to perception. You see beyond the surface now. You feel what others don't say. You can walk into a room and detect the spiritual climate without a single word. That's not a curse, that's discernment. It's spiritual intelligence. And it's why you can no longer live like everyone else, because you were never meant to. You were meant to disrupt, to awaken, to stir the stagnant waters. The same reasons you were attacked are the same reasons you are now rising. The enemy saw your potential and tried to paralyze it, but in doing so, he only sharpened it. The more they tried to crush your spirit, the deeper your roots went into truth. And now you're anchored, unshakable, unapologetic, aligned. And with that alignment comes access. Access to divine strategies, to heavenly timing, to supernatural peace. You're not begging anymore, you're receiving. You're not reacting, you're responding, because you're no longer led by fear, you're led by spirit. This, chosen one, is the beginning of the most purposeful phase of your existence. You're not just finding your mission, you are the mission. Your presence is a prophecy. Your survival is proof. And your voice is the trumpet that calls others home. Let those who misjudged you say what they will. Let the ones who left stay gone. You don't need their validation. You never did. What's coming to your life is divine compensation, not from man, but from heaven itself. This is the reward for staying faithful, for choosing light in the presence of darkness, for not becoming what tried to break you. You are the proof that God's chosen cannot be defeated, only hidden until the appointed time. And that time is now. You've walked the narrow path. You've endured what others couldn't handle. You've cried prayers that went deeper than words. And now, after the fire, after the silence, after the breaking, you are being revealed. The dust is clearing, the veil is lifting, and heaven is announcing what it has always known. You are the chosen one. Not chosen for vanity, not for titles, not for worldly applause, but chosen to be a vessel, a light, a living testimony of divine preservation. You weren't selected because you were the loudest or the most polished. You were chosen because of your heart, because when no one else knew the cost, God did. He saw the yes you whispered in your pain. He saw you love when it hurt, forgive when it didn't make sense, and remain standing when everything around you told you to fall. That is why this Saturday is not just another day on the calendar. It is the final crack before the dam breaks. The shift is not coming, it's here, and it has your name on it. You may feel the echoes of the old season clinging to your thoughts. That's normal. Sometimes the residue of pain tries to linger where healing is already taking place. But hear me clearly, you are no longer in survival. You are in activation. The version of you that begged for breakthrough has already crossed the threshold. You're no longer asking, you're walking in it. You've become too aligned to be delayed, too awakened to be deceived, and too seasoned to be shaken. You are the one your bloodline has been waiting for, the cycle breaker, the atmosphere shifter, the one who didn't fold when it got heavy, the one who stood in the fire and came out carrying flames. And the time for hiding is over. This is your emergence, not in arrogance, but in sacred confidence. Not to prove anyone wrong, but to prove that God was always right about you, all along through the doubts, the setbacks, the betrayals. God's hand never lifted. It may have felt like you were alone, but you were simply being repositioned, protected, set apart. You no longer need permission to be who you are. The evidence is in your endurance. The fruit is in your life. And now the world will witness what heaven has known since your first breath. You are a divine disruption. But don't rush. There's a holy stillness required in this moment. Before the gates open, before the promise fully unfolds, take this breath and bless the journey. Look back, not to mourn, but to thank. Thank the fire for refining you. Thank the loss for unearthing what mattered. Thank the isolation for bringing you closer to the only voice that ever truly mattered. Because the version of you rising now is sacred, and sacred things move differently. You will no longer fight for your place. Your presence alone carries permission. Where once you strived, you now flow. Where once you chased, you now attract. What once overwhelmed you now bows to your authority, not because you are perfect, but because you are in alignment. Let this Saturday be your altar, not just a marker in time, but a declaration in the spirit. Lay down the residue of old thinking. Lay down the fear, the guilt, the what-ifs, the how-comes, and lift your hands, not in desperation, but in recognition. Heaven is with you. Angels surround you. The Spirit of the living God walks before you. You are not stepping into favor. You are becoming it. Watch how the atmosphere shifts around you. Watch how people begin to respond to your energy without knowing why. Watch how divine timing begins to collide with your obedience. You don't have to chase what's already chasing you. You don't have to grasp what's already been given. You are the manifestation of answered prayers, spoken by ancestors whose names you may never know. Their tears watered the path you now walk freely, and you, beloved, are the harvest. You are the first in generations to see this clearly, to break these cycles, to rise without bitterness, to move in both power and peace. And that is no small thing. So what now? Now you walk forward with intention. You walk as one who has heard from heaven. You don't owe explanations to anyone who didn't pray you through your wilderness. You don't apologize for the oil you carry. You don't shrink so others feel comfortable in their comfort zones. You lead, you shine, you speak when the Spirit prompts, and remain silent when peace requires it. But most of all, you obey. Obedience is your sword now. Stillness is your strategy. Worship is your warfare. So take a deep breath. Feel the shift in your chest. That flutter isn't anxiety. It's the expansion of your spirit, the widening of your territory, the breath of God reviving your bones. You've gone from dry valley to divine victory, and you didn't even see it happening, but you feel it now. The old has passed away. The new is not coming. The new is here. Walk in it. Live like it. Speak from it. And when doubt creeps in, because it will, remember this: you were not called by man. You were called by the one who knit galaxies together with his breath. And he does not call what he will not equip. He does not equip what he will not send. And he does not send what he will not protect. You are protected, promoted, positioned, and prepared. So I leave you with this. Let Saturday be the first page of the chapter your enemies swore would never be written. Let your life be the evidence that divine timing cannot be stopped. And let your peace be the loudest sound in every room you enter. You are chosen, and nothing can change that. Go now, quietly, boldly, gratefully. Your destiny has arrived.